past years. And we have here the United City FC um, co-founder Eric Gottschalk. Gotch, Eric, I'm sorry about that. I mean, Eric, can you first and foremost, how are you, and can you teach us how to pronounce your surname properly?
Well, first of all, thank you very much for having me on the show. It's a great pleasure. So, last name, yes, it's German, and you pronounce it Gottschalk. So just split it up in Gott and
with
Schalk.
with an
So
with an S in the middle. It's like S. Shite.
yes,
There we
Gottschalk,
go.
like the school, correct.
Okay, because the Filipinos have been pronouncing it as Gottschalk.
I go by anything. You pay the first drink, and you can call me anything.
Okay, first and foremost, Eric, I just want to ask right now, how are you doing so far? I mean, the pandemic is still around. It's still getting stronger. But how are you doing so far on your personal life right now? How have you been coping so far?
But obviously something that has affected everybody in the world, and I don't think that there's anybody that can say he has not been impacted either personally or within close family and friends. So it's been a tremendously stressful time for everybody. And it looks like that here in the Philippines, we're going to have an extra 1 or 2 or 3 more weeks to come, no? With the quarantine. I think they just announced it. So we all need to do the best we can. We need to make sure that we get this under control so that we can at least enjoy the life that we want to live. And for me personally, just like everybody else, we're trying to do the best we can, try to stay sane, try to work on the things that help us to get better. It's been a good time actually, because I was able to offload a lot of things that were maybe unnecessary in your life, personally as well as professionally. I did some of the things that others were doing as well, trying to focus on maybe learning new skills. Personal development was very important. So there's been a lot of good things happening in the past year. But again, it's been tremendously stressful for everybody. And we just need to make sure that borders are opening up so we can travel and get a little bit of our freedom back.
Okay, Eric, I always ask this to every guest that we have here. Well, anything that you learned so far during this pandemic, personal lessons.
Well, I think we learned a lot about ourselves now, how we're coping with a situation that nobody has ever been in. I think it must be globally the most stressful situation and probably the last 100 or 200 years. I mean, nobody has ever coped with it. The other thing is never lose your humor, because if you take things too seriously, we could get very frustrated. And I see myself sometimes still going around town, and they're still asking you to do this scanning of the QR codes, and everybody knows that your tracing is not going to work. But there's two things: you can laugh about it, take a picture, fill in your details, and move on, or you argue with the guard who's just going to try to do his job. So don't lose your humor. Just go with the flow. Hope that things get better, and this is that's the best we can do.
And the staying positive really helps, Eric, at these times right now.
Absolutely, we need to stay positive. That's all we can do.
Okay, before we go to the Godfather and his questions, we would like to thank our sponsor for our episode, Orange Malunggay Orange Juice and Iced Tea, which is Brian's favorite as well. And HG Guyabano, brought to you by Orange as well. And of course, yung dati nating iced tea and orange juice, meron ng bago. May malunggay na rin nakasama, malunggay iced tea and malunggay orange litro pack. Available at Mercury Drug, South Supermarket, Robinson Supermarket, LCC, Rostan Supermarket, Lazada, and Shopee. For those who want to be resellers, and of course, maraming gustong magkaroon ng small business ngayong panahon na to, please email sales@orich.com.ph. But anyway, Brian, the Godfather, take it away.
Yes, I'd just like to ask Mr. Eric. It's since been how many more months? I mean, it's been 5 months since you won the PFL, right? Okay.
Yes.
So, are there any updates we should know about the happening on your end?
Oh yes, I think we just think by the end of the show we're just going to post the AFC schedule. I mean, we can announce it right now. So the AFC has finally released the official dates for our matches. We don't have a venue yet, but at least we're one step closer. So our first match against Beijing will be on the 26th of June, exactly 60 days out. So this is breaking news for you because nobody else has it yet.
Super
AFC hasn't
exciting.
announced yet. So yeah,
Yes.
at 7 o'clock on our sites, we will have it. So that's breaking news for you here. My
Nice.
present.
Wow,
Thank you so much.
it's just the first question. I already got the breaking news.
Yeah. All those who are watching out there, in for a treat. Breaking news right here on Banana Kick, right?
Yeah. No. So Kaya got their schedule already. So their prelim matches about a week before ours. And so we just received the schedule and we were allowed to post it, even though it has not been announced yet on the AFC website. But our matches are happening pretty much 26th of June, and then we're playing every 3 days until the 11th of July. So it's going to be a very stressful time for the players. Obviously, they're going to be, but we just need to make sure that the guys are ready to prevent injuries, burnouts, fatigue. But we're super excited. Today it's exactly 60 days to go before the first match.
Okay, I'm gonna jump on the flow because I think this is quite timely right now. Before you enter the AFC, do you have already a city that you will represent?
Yes, we do.
Okay,
We will. Yes.
we will.
Yes, we will.
We
We will
don't
make
get
the announcement as
breaking
well.
I thought we were
That-
gonna get another scoop here.
Yeah, one breaking news a night, no?
Just only one.
Maybe you should ask, is it in Luzon, Visayas, Mindanao?
Got any clue?
Somebody asked me the other day the same question. It said it's within 10 hours of Manila.
Oh, okay.
So we're gonna.
Oh, you gotta be thinking.
Okay,
Wait,
10
I
hours.
think I'm gonna guess that it's north. 10 hours north of Manila.
No, not. I said within 10 hours. So it can be a BGC, or it can be Baguio, or it can be
With traffic.
Mindanao, or it can be
I see.
just outside of Singapore if you travel by plane. So yeah.
All right.
No,
Okay.
we know
Okay.
we know already where we're going. I think a lot of people have already guessed it right, but we want to make the announcement probably within the next 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah, but yeah.
We're going to bring the team together, starting from the 10th to the quarantine, and official training will start on the 17th of May. And that's the time when we're going to make the announcements of where we're going to go and all the other plans that we want to unveil. There are a couple very, very exciting things to showcase and to talk about. And I think, it's going to be a good time. But please give me these 2-3 weeks and give the city also a chance to make a big noise of it.
Okay, thank you so much, Erica. Bella, it's your turn.
I guess I became the resident grassroots panelist here. All my questions always refer to the grassroots program. With the shift to being United City, of course, before Mr. Mike Ataide was the head of the youth program of Ceres, shifting to United City, do you have the program plan for your youth? Of course, I know this is part of the requirements for club licensing, but did you take over or adopt the program, or are you starting from scratch? What's the plans for the youth?
Well, first of all, we need to have an academy for different reasons. The easiest is to say we have to have an academy because of the club licensing, but the real reason is we have to be in the community. I mean, wherever we're going to be, we want to make sure we're going to promote football, and the best way of doing it is through your grassroots programs. So the academy program has already been developed on paper. We just now need to implement it. Again, we are sourcing already the places where we're going to have our own pitches. I mean, as you know, we've unveiled the ambitions to build our own stadium. We've now identified the land for it, already. And the same thing is what we're going to do with our academy. So we will have our own purpose-built academy, probably 2 regular-sized football pitches, maybe 1, 2, 3 small-sized pitches. But it will be really an academy ground that will be owned and operated by UCFC. So this would give the community a chance to come in. So there will be paid programs, there will be development programs, there will be CSR programs, there will be a scholarship program. Obviously, the community can have access to the pitches for their own tournaments and so on. So it's really going to be a place where football will meet, and it's extremely important to be in the community and to be present. And the best way to do it is through your academy. And the other thing what we had already announced as well is that in our mission we said we're going to give equal opportunities, and that means that we are obviously going to be very, very inclusive to girls playing football, women playing football. It's going to be one of the major things that we want to make sure that it's really football is a game for everybody.
Wow, that made me really happy to hear. That's definitely music to my ears. But I just I will be remiss if I don't ask you that whether you are already confirmed to sign your academy for the Youth Football League in the next summer that we have tournaments.
When you mean sign the academy, no, I believe that we will have our first programs up and running as soon as the kids are allowed to officially play again, and it can be July, August, September. Hopefully by that time. No, this is going to be the first thing, because our stadium will take 2-3 years before it's ready. But that doesn't mean that in the meantime we cannot have a footprint already to the youth academy.
Yeah. So what I mean is that we can expect another club to join the YFL in the coming season.
Here we go. If we have our teams ready, then we're going to join. Absolutely.
Yeah, that's great news for the YFL. Another addition to our roster.
Another breaking news.
Another breaking news. We're making him commit live that they will participate in the YFL. That's great, and even to include the women's. That's really important. That not only that you're including the women's because it's a requirement, but because it's a part of your philosophy to have football for all. Is there anything about the women's program that you can share, that what thrusts you have, what programs you'll be initiating for women's football?
No, not at this stage. I mean, a lot obviously has to do with. I think we have to build the program around also what's required. So if there's a pathway for going into the Malditas for the national team players, then we're trying to align whatever we do with our academy, obviously also to making sure that we provide programs to the right age groups, so that this becomes a platform to also for aspiring female players to get into the women's national teams, similar what the Ascal's development team is doing with the Ascals. And so we are signing young players from our side so that we can support the development initiatives for the Ascals, and something similar we would then obviously try to do also for the women's national team.
Okay, thank you. That sounds really, I know that right now it's still in the works, but of course myself together with Brian and Ernest and the rest of the viewers are definitely excited to see what you have in store for women's football, and we are super duper excited. I can't even express how excited we are to watch your games on AFC Champions League. Can I ask a few more questions about how what is the preparation right now? Is it online for the players?
Yeah, so we actually, just before this call here, we just got off a call with our coaches. They're getting together on a regular basis, and so Stefan and Coach Frank are taking the lead on this one. They're in touch with the players. They have their own programs. They do their own runnings, and a lot has to be done based on distance, times, and heart rate. So they're monitoring their fitness and their progress based on that, because everybody has different facilities at their their fingertips. I mean, some of them are in the area, Pintus is still in Switzerland, so I assume that he's maybe still battling ice and snow a little bit, and then you have Bienve, he's in Spain, and then you have some of the players over here. So it's very hard to have the same program for everybody, because just the environment, the temperatures and the weather is just different, and the facilities available is also different for everybody. That's why we're trying to have everybody in here as soon as possible. Like I said, first arrivals will be somewhere around second week of May. And then once the team is together on around the 17th, we're going to start the official training. And that's when the real preparation will start. It gives us about 6 weeks prior to the first match. Mm-hmm. And I think that's all we need, a short window, a small window. The guys should be ready for the AFC then.
That's really good news. I know it's hard for us to imagine right now how in the world we can get ready for such a high level of competition. We know that AFC Champions League is really the premier league here in Asia. So we are so interested to see, maybe in the next episodes or in our pages, we can do more features in the preparation of the teams, because I am speaking for myself, but I'm sure all the football fans out there are starved for Philippine football action and international action at that. So yeah, really
Yeah.
good luck. And I think Ernest has a few more questions on that.
Thank you.
I think my dog has a few questions, but
He does, I know.
but anyway, right now, of course, the country has been waiting for BNV Maranhon's naturalization, and if ever this comes in, how would City FC treat this? Does he play as a local already? Does he play still as a foreign player? Or are you going to be planning on replacing him with another foreign player as well? What will happen if that day comes?
Yeah. At the moment, we are the new rules under the local league allows us 5 foreigners, so it's 4+1, so 4 foreigners and an Asian foreigner, one player. So we are under this quota, so we still have a spot left if ever needed. Obviously, the Ascals are trying to get him ready for him to be part of the national team in China in early June. And if this happens, then obviously, if he plays for the Ascals, then for us he would also play as a Filipino, and he would not take up one of the foreign spots any longer. Under the AFC, the regulations are a little bit different. So it could be that for this year, possibly next year, he still has to be considered a foreigner. But we're checking on this one as well. But for the local league and for the Ascals, hopefully he's already be a nationalized Filipino by that time.
Okay, thank you so much, and that is that is exciting for United City FC if you can add another foreign player as well with BNV as a local. Okay, Brian, how about you? You're up next.
Actually, you asked all the questions already.
Everything.
Anyway, I'll improvise. I'll ask Sir Eric. Are there any hardships or adjustments you have had to do again? Because right now, the situation is getting worse. Were there any more adjustments on your end in the preparations or anything like that?
Yeah, we had a lot of curveballs since we started. No? Obviously, since started last July, and with the delays, and the biggest curveball still remains the venue for the AFC Champions League, because it's if you go backwards now and you see that the national team is playing, we're going to probably have 4 or 5 of our players being part of Scott's team that's going to China. Their last matches, I think, on the 16th or the 17th of June, and our first Champions League match is on the 26th of June. So that's not even 10 days in between those two things. And just the logistical gamble we're taking right now with travel, because at the moment we still have a 6-day quarantine in the Philippines. So if the guys fly out on the 17th and they take 6 days of quarantine, on the 7 days they come out, we're almost we're already ready to play the AFC Champions League. So the logistics that we are battling right now is quite that's the most challenging part. When do we bring players in? Where do we bring the players in? And then the other one is what's happening with the vaccine. I know that the Football Federation has announced already that they're going to make the vaccine available for all the professional players. But then again, the vaccination would start right before the Champions League, and that would mean that some of the players might not get the second shot before the Champions League starts. And then maybe it's still a risk of, do you want to have the players take the vaccine right before competition without knowing how they might react to it? Yeah, I mean, 99% of the time, vaccine has no side effects, but do we take a gamble of doing this? So there's a lot of unknown things right now that we're battling with. All we know is that on the 26th, we need to be somewhere. We don't know where. We know who we're playing. And we have a group of players together that we would like to bring in there. But everything else there is still, every day it's a different curveball. Every day it's a different challenge we have to overcome and decisions to make. Yeah.
Yeah, so we know that you're kind of leading the way in terms of preparation now, and you're gonna set the pace and the standards on how the teams, whether national teams or club teams, will be preparing for the rest of the year and in the new normal. My question was in terms of the mental wellness or the mental fitness and preparation of the players. Having a sports psychologist is not really common yet in Philippine football. Is it a factor that you had to consider? How did you deal with the psyche of the players coming into this with all the hurdles that you mentioned?
Yes. Very, very good question. I like this. And there's different angles to it. I mean, obviously, we are in regular touch with the players to make sure that they have the support structure. Because there's nothing worse than maybe being by yourself in a place and not knowing, what's happening. You get lonely, you get bored, and, you get through this whole emotional roller coaster. So it's very, very important. In general, there have been different studies, and none of the studies has actually said that not being in competition has actually reduced the competitiveness or had any effect on the performance. There's actually studies out there, they suggest the opposite, because athletes are training year in, year out. And if you're an athlete and you had a couple of years, 4, 5, 6, 10 years of already competitive, like a competitive career, then this maybe 1 year where there's less competitions is actually very good for your mental state, because the body can actually recover it. There's not very many sports where you can actually have a real off season these days. I mean, you're always in a preparation for the next one already, and the body never can really recover. So I believe that actually the break is good on the body, especially for the athletes that have been around much for quite some time. I think the mental challenge, and that's not just for football, for athletes who prepared last year for the Olympic Games, was very, very tough. Because we're really preparing for 2, 3, 4 years for this one moment. And now the games were moved by a year. And I'm sure there are some athletes that maybe the Olympics now come a year too late, so they might not be making it again. There might be some people that say, we cannot participate at all. Maybe some of them, they would have made it last year, but then they don't qualify for this year. So I think the mental stress that some of the sports and some of the athletes are going through during this pandemic is tremendous, and we cannot underestimate it. And we all need to make sure that we make sure that the well-beings and the mental state, as well as the physical state of all the athletes, is looked after. We are working very closely with our friends from the Agle Wellness Center. They're providing all the facilities that we require so that our players are going to be looked after. But having a sports psychologist on the team is one of the things we're actually looking at the moment.
Yeah, that's a really interesting perspective, that it is actually a good thing on their mental state. I get what you're saying, that they have games, like, and sometimes the games are just 3 days apart. Like, it really depends in the season, that it's just the schedule is back. I know some of your players have experienced that, especially Shockey, Bienve. They've had times when their games were just one after the other, and this might be really good for their bodies. And it's interesting, and I think it really helps that there's some sort of certainty. Even though there's a lot of uncertainties, there's a certainty that you will play in this tournament, and it's around this date, and we are just waiting for the exact venue, but we know who we're playing. So it's a good visualization, as opposed to the other athletes now who don't know when actually they're going to be able to feel the grass or the turf again, or see their teammates again. So that's what a lot of our kids are looking for, and hopefully they can take it the way that you're saying. It's a good time to refresh, reboot, and visualize where they want to be. Leading up to my next question, you have a new set of players. I mean, you have some staples, but you have a new fresh faces. You have a new coach. And fair enough, you are preparing online. How are you preparing for it's chemistry? How do you prepare for that? I know there's no definitive answer, but are there steps you're taking to ensure that your players will be able to gel and work well together on the pitch, as opposed to just being fit and very skilled players playing on the pitch together?
Yeah, nice question. I like this. And again, the fine tuning obviously can only happen once you're all together. You know, you need to be probably in a camp environment where you live and breathe 24 hours a day with each other. You know if your roommate is snoring, and you know what somebody likes to eat or not like to eat. So all of this one, obviously, these experiences, all this will come once the team is together. But what we have done leading up to this was really, I mean, we have a certain philosophy, we have a certain mission and vision within what we're trying to do with the club. And all recruitment was pretty much based on trying to bring players in that on one side, they can help us to perform, but they also need to fit a little bit the philosophy. And most of the players, what they all have in common, they have a tremendous respect for our captain, for Stefan Schröck. And, you know, this makes things probably a little bit easier, because the players know each other, either from a national or international level. Either they played SEA Games together, or they played youth teams together, or they played in clubs together. So they somehow, most of the players, they know each other, but they all are nicely linked with Stefan, and it makes it much easier. So if the chemistry is already there, that the players they want to be with each other, then it overcomes probably maybe the learning process of adjusting for a teammate on the pitch. It makes it much easier if you're already friends beforehand. You know, so it's not that we have now 14 new strangers. There's maybe only 3 or 4 players that are coming in that might be really new to the environment, but everybody else has already been knowing each other. No? I mean, if it's Mark Hartmann or, you know, Kurt, or, you know, these people, they all know each other already from before. That's very important, and hopefully that will help us as well on the pitch. Yeah, the team gets along very well, then you might perform better than when you have maybe just strong individual players who don't gel.
Yeah. Agree. I mean, a lot of them are familiar names and staples, as I said, in Philippine football, and it's just a matter of getting that first few training sessions out of the way, welcoming the new players, right, and the new coach. And sorry, Ernest, last one, taking over.
Go ahead. It's yours. It's yours.
No, I was. Do you feel that I know this is more of a question for the coach rather than the management, but from the management perspective, do you feel that reading or seeing about all the injuries that came about from the matches last year in international leagues, coming off a long break of not playing full 11-a-side matches, a lot of injuries came about, whether minor or more major injuries? Do you feel that United City FC has a deep enough bench to cover for this, in case, you know, knock on wood, but just, you know, do you feel that it's deep enough?
Yes, and again, I mean, if you look at our current roster, we have 27 players on the roster. This is probably 4 or 5 players too many that you would usually have. And again, some of the commitment was to younger players, where we believe that in 1, 2, 3 years they really have a chance. Having Cholo Bogas back and so on. You know, even Ryan Jarvis. You know, these are players that will be the future of Philippine football. But the other thing was, we just need to have a backup on every position, and I think we have the depth now. Yeah, on every position we have a good bench, we have a good backup, because with the AFC we have 6 games in 13 days. Yeah, it's literally every third day there is a match, and you're not going to overcome this without a strong bench, because we will have injuries, and we will have fatigue and burnout. No? Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So, and on the marketing side of it, from all the kids that you've seen, from all the young players that you've been watching, you know, assessing, taking a look at, who do you see as the next face of Philippine football after Stefan Schröck, Phil, and James,
There
your
you go.
husband? Do you have anyone in mind that you're eyeing and seeing?
It's like asking him who is the next generation player for United City FC as well. Who are you targeting? Okay.
Yeah, I think there is. If you look at the college football side, there's a lot of really, really good talent out there. Obviously, we're going to take a look at those. within the squad. I don't want to put any pressure on on any of the players, but you've seen the squad, and one of the things that is the big difference, we're starting to cut down a little bit on the overall age. Yeah, so we have only, I think, 3 players now that are over 30. We have a good group of players that are between the 26, 27, but I think we have 10 players that are under 23. And this is really where we're going. We're trying to cut down on the age, but as well giving players really a chance to develop, and using this platform for them to get better, and to asking who's the next phase. I don't want to give it a name. I don't want to put pressure on them, but I think in general the Philippines has developed good talents, and there's a lot of good talent out there.
Yeah. So he doesn't want to put pressure on who Shrocky and the rest of them will be mentoring and ushering into this new era of who will be the definitive face of Philippine football. So maybe the next time we guest Sir Eric will have a name, we'll have another bombshell
Exactly.
dropped here live.
But I mentioned Sholo already. I mean, he came in. He's the youngest player we have on the squad, and he made the commitment of getting out of high school and taking a professional contract and surrendering his eligibility. So I think he learned a lot already in the couple of weeks that he played last season. It was obviously very short, but he's a tremendous talent, and it's up to him what he wants to do with it. Yeah. And he's definitely, I mean, Stefan is kind of like a mentor to him. Stefan was very much behind it, making sure that he joins us again. So let's see how he progresses. No, let's put some pressure on him. That's okay.
Yeah, that's good to hear that you're really looking even at the collegiate players at who can make it to the roster at the big leagues, for the big leagues actually. Go ahead, Ernest. I'm sorry.
Actually, see Brian. Brian has a question right now.
Yeah, I just like to ask, what's the update with your new coach, Jason White?
In terms, I think he's just moving from Singapore to Dubai. Actually, that's where his new residence is. And again, we are still restricted of having foreigners arriving into the country, so we still have to play it by ear of when he can join us. That's probably going to be only in June, but so we're still restricted. That's one of the curveballs we have to deal with every day. No, we don't know yet how it's flying.
So I presume you're coordinating with them through this Zoom.
Yes. No? And anyway, I mean, most of the work is anyway. I mean, the key responsibility is with Coach Frank. He's over here, and Stefan as a playing coach in a dual role. So these two are the main ones who are managing and organizing everything. So so all the work is done on that side at the moment.
Okay, thank you, Ernest.
Okay, another question here. You have 2 goalkeepers right now, and I'm just interested right now. How would Henry and Pinty work out? I mean, who will be the starting goalkeeper? You got 2 good goalkeepers in the team.
Yes, and again, that's what you need. Now you need depth, and with Henry, like I said, he impressed last year already with his attitude. Again, he's one of the young players. Very, very humble, very shy guy when you talk to him, but once he's on the football pitch, he has a lot of attitude and a lot of ambitions. And it's good for Pintus as well, because he needs somebody to challenge him. Pintus himself is still very young, and the question was, are we going to bring in a more experienced goalkeeper so that Pintus can learn and can develop? But I believe that Pintus has all the tools, and his own ambitions and his own goals are so strong that even though he might not have somebody ahead of him right now that he needs to challenge, that he knows if he wants to be a national team player, if he wants to get into the Ascals, there is plenty of competition that should motivate him on a club level, day in, day out, to get better.
Okay, another question here, Eric. Just a follow-up a while ago about the vaccination. Is there any brand that the PFF will use for the vaccine? Do you have any update on that one?
I think they're looking at Moderna. I think this is what
Moderna
has been acquired for the. Yeah, I think that's the brand that's been floating around. Again, PFF needs to make the final announcement if that's what it is. But that's our updates. That's the one that is going to be available for the athletes.
Okay, Brian.
Yeah, I have a phone-in question, actually. If there is an under 23 amateur league, would United be interested to put up a team?
If there's a 3-on-3 amateur league,
Under
Under
23.
23.
Under 23.
under 23.
Yeah.
Well, we wouldn't put in any of our professional players, but maybe from the academy side, we might be able to form a team. No? Yeah. Because our season is long enough. We're going from probably mid of July until the end of October, middle of November. So we're probably not going to enter any competitions. If it's sevens aside, or if it's 3-on-3, or any of this. I mean, this is just too dangerous. No? But maybe if within the academy, if there's players there, why not? No? I mean, we're going to have all the age groups within the academy, so why not?
I see. And my last phone-in question: do you have any advice on how to keep a team sustainable for moving forward, seeing everyone is having a hard time?
Oh my lord, that can be that can be the topic. That should be the topic of a new show, because with all the sustainability comes, the clubs need to get sustainable, and sustainability comes from being able to generate revenues. And so all the things we're doing right now is to try to create platforms so that the club is able to generate the revenues so that we can pay the player salaries. I mean, we all know that, why have all these clubs disappeared? Because it was money out and not money in. And only the ones that are still around, either they are privately financed by owners who can afford it and who see it as a great hobby, but nobody is in the game right now because it's really a business model that helps you to sustain. We need to create match day revenues. Match day revenues have to come from food and beverage, have to come from ticketing, from merchandising, all of these traditional revenue streams, advertising. And the first thing is you need to have a venue, and not a venue that you're sharing with somebody else, or a venue where on weekends it's athletics and footballs. You need to have a football venue where your fans can come and experience live matches. And if we create this, then we're going to be able to unlock these match day revenues, which then allows us to generate the money we need for our teams. We've been preaching this for the longest time. And the reason why our group got involved with taking over the football club, yes, we wanted to help football, but at the end of the day, for the last few years, if it was at Spear, if it was at our football conference, people were not really listening or taking notice of what we're trying to tell people what football needs. So now we're just not going to talk anymore. We're just going to do it ourselves. We're going to show people how we think it could work. And if it's successful, hopefully we're going to find followers who would adapt one or two of the things that we're doing. Because otherwise football will sooner or later, on every level, you will run into problems. All of the clubs at the moment having issues of financing the players, especially if you're out of business for 8 months and you still have the players on your payroll. They need to be paid because the players have families and so on and so on. And if there's no money coming in and all the money going out, every club, every owner in the country and in the region has had this nightmare, waking up and saying, hey, are we still doing the right thing? Why are we still doing it? And how can we continue? So we need to find a way to generate income from football. And like I said, on a club level, we have to make sure we're going to start creating match day revenues. And on a national level, we just need to make sure that football becomes more popular. We need to see football on TV. A Facebook Live is not enough. We need to see football on TV when it goes head to head with volleyball and boxing and basketball and everything. That's where the audiences are. That's where the advertisers are. That's where the sponsors are. And even though digital and becomes more and more important, but at this time, for the next 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years, if we are not on TV in the Philippines, football will always be a secondary sport, and we will all struggle with sustainability.
Yeah, I actually was saying I wanted to just add something. It's interesting that you bring up other sports that we actually need to keep up with in terms of the visibility and the popularity. But it's really the mindset of the Filipino sports fan that we need to change and across the board, sorry, this is a bit controversial. I'm sure you all are thinking it. I'm just gonna say it. But I mean, we all know it that it's a different type of mindset that we have. Where are the jerseys? Where is that experience of just walking into the stadium, buying a beer and then buying a hot dog and sitting there and buying some merchandise? You know, from the moment you arrive in the park, we don't have this in any sport. It's not just football. We don't have that drive to create that when Filipinos love watching sports. Like we're like the number one sports watchers of so many different leagues internationally. And it's so sad that we can't even, you can't even buy jerseys of our most popular league anywhere. Sorry if I'm making it it's
No, you can.
not.
There's two now, because we started it last year with our replica jerseys. You can buy them on the website, and then Kaya just launched their approach as well. So you can see that slowly, where there's a little bit of an acknowledgement. We need to do something. That's what it looks like. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Football is actually ahead. You can see if you go to boot camp, you can see
Yeah.
sorry, that was a plug. Boot camp, you can see you can see the jerseys, and you're seeing the jersey designs. But I was talking about the favorite league of the Philippines.
Yeah.
You can really buy the jerseys, and there's so many fans out there, and you don't see the jerseys out there. They're always asking for the jerseys because you can't buy it anywhere, when we should be taking advantage so it's not money out. And I think it's a bigger movement to change that in Philippine sports. And if football's going to lead the way and United City and Kaya are going to lead the way, then I'm all for it to change the mindset of the Filipino sports fan.
Great.
Sign me up for that Rocky jersey as well.
Here we go. We send them across. We make him sure that he signs them.
Yeah. See, but I'm telling you, like, it's that it becomes it's becomes our mindset that we always have to ask for jerseys. If you notice, everyone's going to be asking you for a jersey because they're not used to buying jerseys. Why are we not used to buying jerseys? Because it's not readily available. It's not accessible. The prices aren't accessible for our masses, the majority of our fan base. So we have to do better on all across the board, not just in football and all the sports, because I think that I became part of the interviewees, but sorry, I think that I'm so sorry. I feel very strongly about this. I'm so sorry that it was brought up, but I feel very strongly about the fact that it's not just a football problem. It's a Filipino sports problem that we don't know how to make sure that it's a sustainable model. It's always a cash out, and if you don't have a padrino, if you don't have a sponsor, you're not going to survive. And we need to lead the charge, I think, on changing this model, turning it upside down, and making sure that they see how we're going to do it, right?
Correct. And I like the passion behind it, and I hear you. The good thing about football is that within this whole ecosystem of football, the Football Federation in the last few years has done two things very, very well. Number one, we have a popular and successful national team. And number two, there is so much grassroots football going on that I believe that football is really the most popular sport within the communities right now. If you look in general, I mean, if you go into the provinces, if you go, we're not talking Manila, we're talking really on the countryside. And we are much, 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 much better positioned than all the other sports when it comes to grassroots. The only thing what's not working at this stage is, because it's also very young and in infant stages, is the professional league. And that is the link between your amateurs, your grassroots, and your national team.
Yes.
And if we all now just have to focus on making sure that the professional league is sustainable and that the national league is promoted well and becomes popular, then everything else will fall in place. Because give me one other sport that has the infrastructure in place that football has right now. All we need to do is we need to work on the professional league, making sure that it gets the recognition, gets on TV, and everything else will fall in place because you already have it. I mean, the tons of youth competitions all over the country, the number of kids that are playing, it's just unbelievable. And we just need to have this one vehicle and that is the league that will talk football day in, day out, because that's what keeps football going in the media, and in the and among the fans. The national team only plays 4 or 5 times a year. It's just not enough talk. It's just not enough talk in town.
Yeah.
We need the league, and if we're working all towards getting the league better, I mean, we try to do it with our club. The other owners are trying to do it with their clubs. You guys with your shows. If we're trying to talk football in the Philippines, then we're in a good position. I really believe that.
Yeah, and just just to support the statement of Eric about the how crucial it is to be on TV, on that platform, and not just on digital, although digital is definitely rising because everyone can watch it on TV. Just a short anecdote that we took a few of our players from Meralco before to Tawi-Tawi. Tawi-Tawi is like on the southernmost part of the Philippines, and you would think that there's really nothing there. There's no television, there's no, but we went on a trip on an island where the first mosque was supposedly built in the Philippines. So who knows, 1500s or whatever. But the kids there somehow knew our players.
Mhm.
Why?
Yeah.
Because it was shown on TV5 back then. And they all had their satellite dishes prominent in their house. You can see it sticking out there. So just to show you, like, it supports the statement that even if we say that digital is rising, the furthest reach still that we can get is being on mainstream television. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Right. Yeah, and I mean, you go into the restaurants. I mean, you go anywhere in Makati or BGC, the sports bars, that when they show sports, they always show football, and they show basketball, and they show Formula One, and so on. And the good thing is now with the Champions League coming up, our matches are going to be transmitted. We're going to make a lot of fans. A lot of people will be able to actually see the games. And that's what we need. We need to be somewhere, and then suddenly somebody like, oh wow, look, this is football. This is Philippine football. This is Stefan Schrack. We need this, and again, this is something it's an appeal to the league organizers. Don't lose your focus on making sure that we have a good TV platform when our season starts. We're going to promote them, but in this country, it's still very, very important that TV broadcast, TV coverage gets you the most eyeballs and the most interest. We need to be on TV. That's very, very important.
Exactly. It's and of course, just fixing all the channels from the youth to the pro to the college to, and then of course the channel to the audience is everything has to fall into place for everything to grow.
Yes.
But anyway, right now, there's a question here. When will Coach Jason join the team? Will you meet him in the ACL bubble instead? When is he planning to see the team as well? Right.
Yeah, probably again. We just fixed the dates, so we're looking at probably about a week or 10 days prior to the AFC bubble that he will hopefully be able to come to the Philippines, join the team over here, and then we're all going to travel across. No?
Okay,
So
so
at the moment, yeah, we would not.
that-
I don't think we would be able to bring him in earlier just because of the
yeah,
the situation with foreigners coming in.
Okay. that is
and
that
the-
small window that
Yeah.
you have to bring him in.
Yeah. But again, I mean, the team will start training in the 17th, and Coach Frank is here, and Shreki will hopefully be here as well for a little bit at least. So the team is in good hands.
Okay. Anyway, we're running out of time here, Eric. We hope that this is not the last time that we're gonna guest you on the show, and
Thank you. My pleasure. My
Okay,
pleasure.
but
Yeah.
I want to ask. Of course, this is not the first time I interviewed you, but the first time was with the IPTL when you were handling the IPTL here in Manila, and then of course SPIA. Let's get an update on SPIA. Last year, we didn't have SPIA, right? It's usually on December. The last time that I attended was here in Manila back in 2019, and you brought in Ronaldo, not the real Ronaldo that I grew up with, but okay. Any plans of resuming SPIA very much soon?
Yeah. We had the awards last year. Obviously, a physical conference was not possible, and we felt like a virtual conference would not be very appropriate. So we just had the awards show. So we kept the awards going. But it looks like that the dates have been set on the 29th and 30th of November, and it looks like we're going to be in Indonesia this time. And
Okay.
football will take definitely front stage. Yeah, it's a lot of stuff that's going to be discussed on football. Indonesia is obviously a massive country when it comes to football, and they were supposed to host this year actually I think it's the under 20 FIFA World Cup. So this has been postponed a little bit, and again, that gives us a chance to maybe talk more football when we are there, and how the preparation goes for them hosting a Youth World Cup.
Okay, so any special guest that you're targeting already? You might as well uh, give us
You're going
a
to join us,
gist.
right? You're going to join us. Who else should come?
Let me know. Let me know. I mean, I'm in it. If we're gonna bring Zidane this time, I'm in.
No? Yeah. As you know, I mean, every year there was a little bit of a surprise and
Yep.
a little bit of a star guest, and it will be no different this year.
Okay, that is exciting, and of course, right now, Eric. Well, we just have a minute left, but anything that you want to you want to say to our audience right now on and pages that they would like to follow United City FC. Now is the time. This is the platform.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah. I mean, I'm so impressed that after the little when we started with the club and we changed the name, and people were not very sure of what's happening, and what are our plans, and going from Ceres that everybody loved to a new club, but where the name is a bit strange, United and City. I'm just so pleased and so happy that everybody came together and started really understanding a little bit of the vision that we have, and actually supporting our club and supporting our players, and getting excited with us that we're going to be able to play in the Champions League. It's a huge privilege, and we're very, very much aware that the support that we're receiving across interest groups, and hopefully we're gonna do well there, and it's a big privilege for us. So it's a big thank you to everybody who's following football. It's a big thank you to the group that we have here on the show, because you are, again, you are helping to promote our missions and what we're trying to do. And so please keep this up. I love the questions, so thank you very much. And we're probably the most dominant football club right now on all social media platforms. I just heard this morning that our social media manager is now launching our TikTok account. So, and then we're literally on all platforms, from website to LinkedIn to Instagram to Twitter. We are active. We're trying to reach people where they are, and I can promise that there's a lot of content planning already in the making. People will like it. So there's going to be a lot of engagement, and I think we have amazing players. I mean, some of the women already said they're extremely good looking, so I leave this up to them to judge. But they're super nice guys, and if you heard some of the interviews, maybe with Johnny when he was on there, or Jai the other day, they're just unbelievable. When they speak, how they love the football and how much they look forward to coming to the Philippines. So it's going to be an exciting season for all of us. That's for sure.
Okay, thank you very much, Eric, for the time that you gave us. I'm sure. I hope we get. I have a picture of that interview with IPDL. It's a one-on-one. I gotta find it and I'm gonna show it to you.
Send
I
it to
think
me.
it's
That'd
a
be
candid.
great.
It's a candid interview of us.
Great.
Just informal.
Super.
I'm gonna show it to you once we once everything here is okay. But anyway, let's give our co-host a chance to promote and say their final remarks for today. Godfather.
Yeah. Thank you, Sir Eric. For it was a pleasure talking to you, and thank you for the breaking news. And please do take care. Thank you
Thank
so
you very much.
much.
Thank you.
Miss Belay.
All right. So thank you. Obviously, thank you for joining us. It's a very interesting discussion, and I wish it could go longer. Maybe another time. There's so many more aspects that we weren't
Yeah.
able to discuss. But you mentioned you have a great team of players. Shrocky, Bianve, Kurt, Mark. That is just the tip of the iceberg. Cholo, so many more, and I really wish you luck in the journey. But more than that, I really believe that you have a good support staff as well. Worked with a lot of them, Ace, Gino,
Yeah.
Bianca, Wally, all of them. Like a huge shout out. And I know you're working with Michael Hosking, whose daughter is been a player of the national team. So really excellent team that we can get behind. And I'm so excited to watch your journey in the Champions League in PFL. And good luck. And I hope that you and your whole team stay safe throughout this journey so that you can bring home some bring home some glory to Philippine football. So thank you so much.
Thank you very, very much. I appreciate this one. Thank you.
And again, thank you, Eric, for the time. I'm really looking forward to get our football fix once again. And thank you for the dates. I'm gonna mark it in my calendar. And of course, we have to thank our sponsor as well. Orange Malunggay Iced Tea and Orange Juice and HG Guyabano Drink. Please do visit their Facebook page at Orange. And of course, if you want to become a reseller, you can contact sales at orich.com.ph. And this is me, Ernest Hernandez, signing off for now. This is Banana Kick. On our third week, we have another exciting episode upcoming next week. So please like our page, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and we will see you next week. And we will leave you with a special message for the times like these. It's just to stay safe, and God bless.
Thank you very much. That's great.